People in the valley used to laugh at him, not because he was cruel, not because he was strange, but because to them he looked useless. While others rushed through life like they were being chased, he moved slowly. While others argued, he listened. While others fought the world, he seemed to let the world pass through him. His name was Shen, and the villagers called him the man who did nothing.
Morning mist still clung to the paddies. In the village yard, men were repairing a collapsed stone edging. A flat boulder had to be rolled back into place. Wei put his shoulder to it. He pushed until his breath shook. The stone didn't move. Someone else stepped in and shifted it an inch with a grunt. Small, effortless. Han watched with crossed arms. "Leave it," Han said, loud enough for the men to hear. "You have scholar's hands, useless for real work." A few chuckles, not cruel, still sharp. Wei looked down at his own fingers. Clean nails, soft skin, the kind of hands that couldn't prove anything in a yard full of stone. He walked away before his face betrayed him. He found Shen at the river. Shen sat by the reeds, rinsing a clay cup in the current. The water slid off his knuckles like it had no argument with gravity. Wei didn't sit. He stood too straight, like he was still trying to be chosen. "Uncle," he said quietly, "what is a man worth?" Shen didn't look up. He set the cup upside down on a rock, let it drip. Wei's voice came out dry. "Han says I'm not made for real work." He swallowed. "If that's true, then what am I?" Shen watched a leaf turn once in a small eddy, then drift onward. Then he stood and went into his hut. He returned with a cloth bundle held carefully, like it mattered, not for show, for memory. He unwrapped it. A porcelain bowl. Old, plain, clean. The glaze held the pale sky like still water. Wei blinked. Shen said, "This was my father's. He never showed it. Not because it was secret, because it was wasted on loud eyes." Han's footsteps scraped the path. He had followed, curious. "A bowl," Han said. "A bowl will fix his pride?" Shen didn't answer Han. He handed the bowl to Wei. "Take it to the village market," Shen said. "Offer it. Do not accept. Only listen." Wei hesitated, then nodded. The village market was small, cheap wares, fast hands, loud bargaining.
Wei unwrapped the bowl on a rough table beside cracked pots. People glanced once and moved on. A bowl was a bowl. A vendor lifted it with 2 fingers, tapped the rim with a nail. 2 copper, he said. Wei's chest tightened. The vendor shrugged, already bored. Pretty but common. He pushed it back like returning an empty plate. Wei wrapped the bowl and left. At the river, he crouched beside Shen. 2 copper, he said, like it's nothing. Han spread his hands as if the world had proved him right. "There," he said, "you see, worth is what people pay." Shen poured a thin stream of tea into a cup. Steam rose and vanished. "Go again," Shen said, "not here." He pointed toward the town road. By noon, the town market was louder and wider, better goods, better eyes. Wei unwrapped the bowl again. A potter took it and held it to the sun, turned it slowly, checked the foot ring, listened to the note when he tapped it. His face changed. Not awe, calculation. "I'll pay 100 copper, he said, "because it might be real, and if it is, it brings trouble." Wei's mouth almost formed yes. He felt Han's voice inside him. "Take it, prove yourself, be smart." Then he remembered Shen. "Do not accept, only listen. Wei bowed, wrapped the bowl, and walked away. Back at the river, he told Shen the number. Han's eyes widened beside himself. 100, Han said. Then sell it. That's already more than your hands earned all season. Shen sipped his tea. One more place, he said. Han's face tightened. You will lose it or insult someone who doesn't forgive. Shen's eyes were calm. Let the right eyes see it, then decide.
The next morning, Wei went to the town center. Not the market, not the shouting stalls. A quiet street, small signs, a bell that rang once when the door moved. Inside, an antique dealer sat behind a counter. Needle eyes, still hands. Wei unwrapped the bowl. The dealer didn't touch it at first. He looked, long, as if listening with his gaze. Then he lifted it with a cloth, turned it under window light, brushed dust from a faint mark near the base. He showed Wei a tiny stamp. The dealer's voice stayed flat, almost careless. This is kiln work, not village work. Wei felt his throat close. The dealer named a price. Then he added, softly, like ending a conversation, "This buys the whole village." Wei stood frozen. 2 copper, 100 copper, a whole village. The bowl hadn't changed, not a hairline crack, not a new shine, only the room, only the eyes. Wei walked back in a daze. At the river, Han was waiting, impatient. "Well?" Han demanded. Wei sat on the stone and stared at the moving water. In the village, Wei said, they saw a bowl. In town, he said, they saw a risk. In that shop, he said, they saw proof. Han scoffed. So the bowl became valuable. Shen shook his head once. The bowl stayed the same, he said. The judges changed. Wei's voice went small. I thought if something is real, he said, it should be obvious anywhere. Shen touched the bowl's rim lightly, like greeting an old animal. Fire is real, he said. Put it in wet wood, and it becomes smoke. Put it in dry wood, and it becomes flame. Same fire. Wei swallowed. So what does that mean for me? He asked. Han answered first, sharp and practical. It means you should become useful, become a tool they need. Then no one can laugh. Shen looked at Han, then back to Wei. Wrong room, Shen said. Wrong judge. Wei's eyes narrowed. Han judges me by stones, Wei said, by shoulders, by how loud my usefulness looks. Shen nodded once. And the market vendor judges the bowl by cheap shelves, he said, and the dealer judges it by a life of seeing. Wei looked down at his hands again. This time he didn't feel shame. He felt information. He reached into his sleeve and pulled out a small writing brush he carried for notes, a simple thing, not impressive in a yard of stones. Han noticed and snorted. There, Han said, still playing scholar. Wei didn't flinch. He dipped the brush in river water and drew one character on a flat rock. Slow, careful, not for Han, for himself. Then Wei stood and set the brush back into his sleeve like placing a blade into its sheath. He turned to Han. I'm done begging the vegetable seller to price porcelain. Han's jaw tightened. He wanted to strike back, but the words didn't find a handle. Wei looked at Shen. So I don't need to become someone else? He asked. Shen's voice stayed low. Growing is good. Being owned is not. Wei exhaled once. The river kept moving, and Shen left him with one quiet sting. Stop asking the wrong room to name you.